Are you ready? Stand by.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Three Gun Show, brought to you by Armalite. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and this week we're taking on a topic that's that could hurt some feelings, could bring us closer together. This is the topic of what should we do with PCC and Three Gun, and what should PCC be in general. And this topic was brought up by our buddy Adam Maxwell. Adam, how you doing?
What is up, everyone?
Adam, glad to have you back here, man. Interested to dive in this topic. I think it's going to be a good one here. Before we get into this, I want to make sure that people know that the Three Gun Show does have a Patreon account. If you like this type of information, if you like this podcast and you like this format, you can support the show on Patreon. It's patreon.com/threegunshow, Patreon. And what that is, it's basically a monthly, kind of like a subscription sort of model here, and it helps keep the lights on and helps keep the show pumping out cool content like this. Also, Armalite is giving special discounts to the Three Gun Show listeners on their line of Three Gun rifles and parts. With the end of the year coming up, and most people taking a little bit of a break and reevaluating their equipment, if you've been on the fence about a decision to get your own 3-gun rifle or components to complete yours, especially if you're in Colorado, hit me up, dave@threegunshow.com. This is also like 49 state. Well, I mean, this works fine, right? California, I don't know how that works. But anyway, dave@threegunshow.com, and we'll hook you up with a great price on a great rifle. And if you haven't figured it out, the reason that I don't mention the pricing on the show is that it is lower than you can get anywhere else. All right, so that said, that's all the announcements that we have for today. So let's dig into this topic. Adam, what have you been up to lately, man?
Man, I just got back fresh off the road. Like, I drove back from Virginia, walked in my door, and called you to do this from Three Gun Nation Nationals.
Oh, Three Gun Nation Nationals. That was this weekend, huh?
Yes. So just got back, still strung out from the road.
Has the monster worn off yet?
You know, I've begun to purge. I've made my dentist appointment. Like, it's we're coming down. I've switched to Mountain Ops now. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Bold move.
Yep.
Any DTs or shakes from that?
No. I make this cocktail of Ignite and Enduro, and it's pretty tasty.
Nice. I really like that. I've never tried the Enduro. I like the Ignite. It's good stuff.
Yes.
Adam,
you mix them both together, and it's like Gatorade with energy.
Nice. You can see through time.
Yeah.
Andy Peterson gave me some of that Ignite when I was out at the TPC a couple years ago for a 3-gun class. Yeah. And I was pretty pumped. Like, it had like a good. This is not an ad, by the way. This is just two guys talking about stuff. It had like really good focus potential. Like it definitely, perked you up and got you more focused, but there was none of the like byproduct shaky stuff you get from like a pre-workout. Right.
Although I did drop their pre-workout on accident one morning before I went into work. so I was tripping on pre-workout, answering customer service phone calls.
Adam is really productive today.
Yeah. I was cranking out emails like nobody's business.
Dude, next time you do that, you got to get on the Instagram story of Vortex Optics so we can check that out and have a good time laughing at you.
Yeah, I know. My roommate Travis, he knew I did. I was texting him back and forth. I was like, "Oh man, this is a trip." trying to keep an even keel until that wore off. It was pretty good.
Now, does time go faster when you're on pre-workout or slower?
It goes faster.
Awesome.
It goes a lot faster.
Pro tip.
Do you ever watch that movie Over the Hedge? When the squirrel drinks the Red Bull?
No.
I mean, that's what it's like.
All right, I'll have to put that on my watch list.
Any parents out there, you know what I'm talking about. You're welcome.
We got a lot of parents who listen to this one.
I know, right? lot of dad bros out there.
A lot of dad bros. Yep. And we probably have one or two mom bros out there too. So.
Also, yes.
Yeah. All right, Adam. What's going on here, man? You came with me, or came at me with this topic, and I was like, bro, this is either gonna make it or break it here. This is a touchy subject.
Well, I mean, we've touched on it in a couple episodes in the past, where it's like PCC, where it comes up, because it's been a movement lately, and we kind of went down a couple trails with it, but really decided it was its own topic for a show.
Yeah.
And we had such a good reaction to the show that we did, the Q&A, or not the Q&A, but the rule, which rules should change and why, open discussion that Dylan posted. The listeners really connected with that, so I figured we'd try another one of these threads and and see if we could get some productive discussion out of this. Maybe what folks are looking for, and maybe go a little bit deeper into detail of what you and I think PCC should be going forward. So,
well, this is a great idea. So I'm really glad you brought it up. I've commented here and there on PCC over the last bunch of months here, and the couple of years that the Three Gun Show has been around, but I held back for a number of reasons. One, I don't own a PCC, right? So I didn't want to weigh in something. It's like why I don't weigh in on rules for heavy division, right? I don't shoot heavy. I don't have those guns, so I let those guys figure it out. So that's one of the reasons. And I wanted to shoot PCC in a 3-gun match. I wanted to shoot a PCC match and then weigh in on it. And in the last show, we brought it up a little bit in like the rules topic, and I think we both decided, like, dude, we should wait until this is its own show, because this is such a broad topic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and there's a couple of main avenues that we can go down here that got discussed in the thread. What should PCC be within the sport of 3-gun multi-gun, and what should a PCC only sport be? So and those could be autonomous discussions in and of themselves, but I threw them both out here just kind of because the conversation is going to go. I mean, the same people are going to be at the same table when we talk about it, so I just kind of threw it out there just to see what people were saying, and maybe we can break it down here a little bit and have an enlightening discussion.
Yeah, so you threw this one into the 3-gun guns, gear, ammo, and match discussion group that was on Facebook, and the actual question that you posed to the community is: so Dave Hartman and I have danced around the topic of PCC on the 3-gun show a few times. We are getting ready to take it head on for a full episode and want to feel out some opinions or for talking points. A couple questions for discussion. 1, what is or should be the future of PCC within 3-gun? Is there a format that would get you to adopt a PCC division as your primary focus? The B part of that question is really important. 2, what would or should an exclusive PCC-only action shooting sport look like? What skills should be emphasized? What divisions should there be? So we got a lot of comments on this one. So there's approximately 60 comments on this, and you put up this question like November 5th. We're recording right now. I think it's the 13th or something. And,
seems legit.
And there's still people commenting on it today. So this has been kind of cool.
Yeah, and like you said, that the part B there of the first part of the question is important, because a lot of people have solid opinions of what should happen in other divisions that don't affect them.
Yes.
Like, especially sometimes, like when we talk about factory or limited division, I have all kinds of people who have opinions of what factory or limited division should be, but they don't actually shoot it.
Right.
Whereas, like, I shoot factory and limited division, and sometimes people go off on tangents, and it's just like, no, I participate, and I would not like that change.
Yeah.
But, but they don't, so this is, there's a lot of times, in many aspects of life, there's always like great ideas that someone else should do, so when we talk about PCC within the sport of 3-gun or as its own sport, I'm most interested in it in the context of if if this came about, I would participate in it. So, like, if we get PCC involved, in a big way in 3-gun, what would it have to look like for you to put down the TAC Ops rifle and shoot PCC? Because if that isn't the case, then what are we talking about? Because then it's then it's just a neat idea that someone else should do.
Yep.
So,
well, I love those questions. I think they were. I think you posed them pretty well there. I'm going to save my opinions for my full opinion for the end. Obviously, I'll comment on other people's comments, and I encourage you to do the same here. So let's go over what other people said, and then at the end we'll kind of wrap up with our own thoughts. How about that?
All right, sounds good.
Cool. Well, so the first person to reply to this one, and also the most recent person to reply to this one, is our buddy Josh Tarrant, who's been on the show a bunch of times here.
Yeah, Josh definitely an opinionated guy, but he always comes from a place of logic and reason. So I tend to really respect what he has to say.
Yeah, for sure.
On
Me too.
Any topic that he chooses to dive into.
Yeah. So Josh is an engineer in his normal life, so he comes at it from like a really analytical standpoint, and I appreciate that type of view because I'm more of like a creative person, so I tend to just go with like my gut feeling on stuff. So when I have those types of people to keep me in check, I definitely appreciate their point of view. So what Josh says is, awesome topic. PCC has been an exciting addition to our competition world. I have never shot PCC at a 3-gun match, but I've decided to do so for the first time this weekend at 3-Gun Nation Nationals, which was just a couple days ago. So after this weekend, I
cannot wait for you to ask him about that.
I will have some context as to my personal thoughts in 3-gun. As for PCC-only matches, I think there should be only one division. I like the all-out drag race and everyone in the same mix. As for skills, I like the fast-paced style options you get with USPSA, but with more fun and complexities that an outlaw match brings with larger round counts and fun targets. So before we recorded here, I did ask Josh what his impression was after shooting. So we've got a nice little comment on that as well. But any thoughts on what he's written so far?
Okay, well, so he touched on a big one, and I think that's going to be a motif in some other people's comments as well. But the whole PCC only should be one division.
Yeah,
it's an interesting topic because there are a lot of people who feel that way.
I've got an interesting perspective on that. I think, well, not interesting in that I'm going to disagree with Josh, but interesting in that I do agree with him. And the reason I feel that way is I think a lot of times shit gets diluted, right? Like I was just listening the other day. You and I did the match recon for the Rockcastle Pro-Am, and the divisions were TAC or open. So there's it concentrates people into two divisions. There's not like everyone's spread out and everyone can go trophy hunting or whatever. It's like we're all duking it out in the same pond, and that's what I think like made the 3-Gun Nation Pro Series, the traditional one, pretty damn awesome. Is that everyone was forced to shoot TAC Ops. So everyone was competing against each other. Yeah. Yep.
I do have the flip side to that, though. And I know,
Talk to me,
people
Goose.
like that. Another sport has tried this before. Maybe some of you have heard of it. It's called USPSA.
Right.
Back in the day, there was only open division. And so cost of entry into the sport was this very exotic, like we talked about in the rules, podcast, there's only these very exotic, very expensive looking guns. Well, not expensive looking. They are expensive. But that's all there was. And technically you could play, but you weren't really playing if you didn't have an IPSC open gun. So the danger of one division in the PCC only sport is that if you allow it to be the Wild West, it's going to turn into an arms race and it's going to get very exotic. And I think a lot of the energy behind PCC right now is, and I say this kind of tongue in cheek, but it's poor man's open.
Yeah.
Right? You can get the best PCC on the market for $1,500.
Yep.
Pretty much. You can, we won't go too deep in the weeds there, but you're, you're under $2,000 and you can get the best one that is made. There's a few of them out there. We don't need to go into brands.
Well, and then you go with like just what is it, like a $300 Vortex Razor Red Dot, and you're ready to rock. Like that.
Yeah.
That is an open gun.
And some $30 Glock stick mags.
Yep.
And you have the best PCC that there is. You can't even touch an open gun for that amount of money. Well, you can touch one at the store, but you can't take it home. For under $2,500, if not $3,000. I mean, the good ones are $4,000 or $5,000. So a lot of the energy behind PCC, I think, is that it is attainable cost of entry.
So
now,
I totally agree with you there. But you're also talking about USPSA back when like an aim point that you remember the aim point that was in Terminator, the first Terminator. There's like the big long tube one. That's like $1,300, right? Well, now when you're talking about like a serviceable optic that you can get with a lifetime warranty for $300, is that really that big of a barrier to entry?
Well, not currently, but if you look at the evolution, even in the short time that PCC has been a thing on our scene. I mean, the guns have been around. Submachine guns have been around since World War I, but which is really what these are. These are really semi-automatic submachine guns. This is where a lot of the technology came from. So, if
they're like
if you look
trench
at
guns, right?
What's that?
Like trench guns. You don't need a rifle to shoot into a trench.
Yeah,
but you don't need a rifle caliber. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, they were developed as sub-caliber guns for rear echelon people and officers and things like that. And those are the guns that were ultimately the lineage for what is now PCC.
Right.
But in a competition context, it's really only been hot for what, a year, 2 years?
Right. Well, it was when USPSA made it a division, right? Or what do they call it?
Well, it's when Three Gun Nation did it at Frostproof 2 years ago, I think.
That was about the same time, wasn't it?
I don't know about that. USPSA was a little bit slower.
All right.
If my recollection is correct. But anyway, my point is, back then, so if you rewind to whoever started it, but I mean, go back to that year, a year ago, and everyone was pretty much like, yeah, you got this gun, you put in the factory Glock mag, and away you go. Talk to anybody who was at the Lucas Oil Championship.
Ooh,
the resounding answer there was, now you need a coupled 60-round mag. Okay, so now we're getting into it's not just enough to have the 30-round mag.
I don't think that's true. Who had a coupled 60-round mag?
Everyone who took top 5.
Are you talking like traditional coupled where they're stacked side to side?
No, I mean they clamped the two together, so it's it's one Stein of 9mm.
I getcha.
So we've watched. First it was base pads. People threw on their standard +5 base pads on the bottom, which evolved into +10 base pads, which is all of a sudden people started coupling mags together, cinching them together. And now there's all kinds of exotic things. And then you go into the comps. And then you go into, you can run, excuse me here, the full gamut of modifications now. I mean, now the guns are super exotic. So I mean, look at our buddy, Josh Freilich's gun. It's a $1,700 JP with not one but 2 optics on it.
Mm-hmm.
2 $400 optics with mount, plus the mounts, and he's got some coupler putting 2 30-round mags together, and so in the short and pretty much now to be competitive in a PCC only game, that's what you gotta have.
Dude, all that shit right there is still less than a normal 3-gun rifle, though, right?
It is, but I look at the trajectory of evolutions of the equipment, and if you look at the parallel to what happened in USPSA, I'm not saying that will happen, but it's worthy of consideration when we as a sport say, yep, there's only one PCC division. I mean, that is a track That is
Yeah.
a trail that it could go down in a fairly short amount of time.
Well,
and if that's the way
guarantee
we
that-
want it to go, that's fine. But as a sport, I think we should consider that if that's the way we want to go.
It's a very good point, and I guarantee that will happen. I guarantee that because that's what man does.
Absolutely.
Right? Like
Yeah.
an arms race is an arms race for a reason, and also, by the way, 3-gun is an arms race. Just saying.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah, it is.
I'm with you
Have
there.
Have you seen Josh's 4-dot setup? It's pretty crazy.
You make a compelling argument. So, what then would you say about, like, say, a limited division and an open division? Limited is one optic, X length magazines, and then open is open.
Yeah, I think there should be at least 2 divisions in a PCC only sport, maybe 3.
I don't see a reason to.
And we can
keep...
get to the third one as we get down further in the thread.
Yeah, man, I'm leery to put a bunch of divisions in there because I've seen what it does to 3-gun. Like it just dilutes the pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what it does to USPSA. Like production. Production is the hottest division out there, but some people can't see. So let's add carry optics. Oh no, carry optics is just production with a red dot. Let's make it 15 rounds capacity. It's just on and silly shit that you do on
now
top
it's
of
polymer open.
it. Yeah. All right. So to wrap up, I asked Josh like how his experience was, and he said it was an interesting match and experience. I was very underprepared to shoot PCC in the match and didn't have a proper load or zero, which made the match more challenging. That aside, I agree with some of the comments, particularly about having targets that everyone doesn't have to shoot at. We'll get into those in a minute here. The inconsistency of required engagements is also interesting. Some targets required 1 hit, others required 2 hits. Some PCC targets everyone shot at, others only PCC. I hate that, by the way. The lack of consistency I felt was dysfunctional, and I can see why some people like it. Some stages were very straightforward. If you shot PCC and only required 1 gun, it made stage planning pretty simple. Some guys were complaining that they had to do too much shotgun work. So there was an obvious deviation from their expectation/experience versus what the match offered for me. I probably won't shoot PCC again. I miss my rifle and pistol for the long-range targets. As for keeping it part of 3-gun, if it can be done better with a single written stage brief and more consistency, I don't see how it hurts anything and will likely promote more people getting into the sport.
That sounds like something Josh would say.
It does sound like something Josh would say. Just say you didn't like it, dude. We understand. So I gotta say, like my experience kind of mirrors Josh. And I've mentioned it a few times before, is when I shot PCC in a 3-gun match. It was the second match you and I shot together.
Yeah.
And I definitely missed the rifle portion. And, when it's windy, we're in Texas, and you guys are holding off 5 feet on the plates to shoot them. And I'm sitting there saying, "Oh, I miss shooting my rifle." Y'all are looking at me like I'm crazy, but it is a real thing. Like it's a challenge, and it's something that I enjoy about the sport.
It's part of the emotional roller coaster of a match.
But not necessarily not being able to hit the targets, but shooting rifle is a skill, and it's a skill that I'm proud to be proficient at. So I do miss it when it's not in the match.
Well, for me, it's like it's cool, but it's not that cool. Like it's not cool
shooting
enough
rifle?
that it's PCC.
Oh,
So it's like it's kind of neat, cool, but it's not like I'm traveling to a major 3-gun match to shoot in the PCC division. Cool.
yeah.
I can get the multiple targets on a stage. I mean, I can ride both sides of the fence on that too. I don't like having targets out there that I don't have to shoot. Like it's like it's not clean.
I don't like that either.
For lack of a better term, but I can also see, as an event coordinator, if you are trying to cater to or attract people to shoot PCC, I mean, you don't want to shortchange them either. I mean, because a lot of the comments are along that lines are like, screw those guys, they can shoot at the long range targets and they can't shoot at them. And tough luck. And it's like, well, No, that guy's a paying customer too. He paid just as much money as you did. He wants a full stage. So I can understand where they're trying to put the closer in targets so they can kind of like mimic, the skill set that's being used with the bottleneck rifles in the straight wall carbines. But yeah, I mean it's an imperfect answer at best.
Yeah. Well, so let me tell you that here in Colorado, there's not one match where you can shoot beyond 200. So this is the perfect.
There is not a match where you can shoot beyond 200.
That's what I said.
In Colorado?
Correct.
That seems strange to me.
That seems strange to everyone, but we have.
You have all of the space.
We have you don't have space? How far do you guys shoot?
We have trees.
Well, in eastern Colorado, we don't have trees, but because we don't have trees, those bullets keep traveling. They don't ever hit a tree, and they hit people. So, yeah, Colorado, we have ranges. Well,
I mean, as long as you're California people, it's cool.
Well, just listen. Let me finish the sentence. We have ranges. We go out to ranges. They have berms. We have backstops. It's a legit thing. It's not like there's this mass amount of rural area that you can go to and just shoot because there's other people's land that surround it, and people that are on tractors don't like taking incoming fire. So
they do not. I was on a tractor a lot in previous life, and that was not my favorite thing.
So you can relate. So
yes,
we do have limitations because we have to shoot in berms and competition bays, right? And that may be a holdover from having like a long history of USPSA and IDPA here, is that they want to shoehorn, 3-gun into the same thing, but we don't have jungle runs because there's no fucking jungle around here. I've sent you pictures of my ranges, and because you and I've had that conversation, like, well, it's just a jungle run. Like, we don't have jungle, man. So
yeah.
This state would be perfect for PC. Let me finish. This state would be perfect for PCC because there's not those opportunities for long range, and the times that we have to share 200-yard bays with other people. So when you do get to shoot to 200 yards, it's like once every other month, So you're basically shooting bay stages, 9 stages out of 10 stages over your entire local club match 3-gun season. So here, PCC would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, with a big enough target, I don't know that a 200-yard PCC shot's out of the question.
No, but then now you're talking about setting more targets. It'd be kind of
hard to hear, though.
Now you're talking about setting more targets out there, and that's what we're just trying to get away from.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could ring a BC, MGM style target with a rifle at 200 or a PCC.
That's a good point.
I just wonder if the report off of a PCC. I mean, it's going to be that's all it's going to be. It's not going to be a.
You'd need to watch the impact for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where that's a legitimate challenge, and it's actually a challenge,
right?
For so like, oh, you want to play PCC? This is a skill you might need,
Well,
even in a PCC only game.
And at that Texas match, or the Texas what the hell is it called? 3-Gun Nation Southwest Regional in Texas.
Yes,
they had full-size poppers at like 90 yards, and that's not that much of a challenge for a PCC.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are huge, right? So BC zone at 200, now that's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, I don't know.
I agree, but I mean that was kind of contextual too, because I mean the reason they were there is because that's where the edge of the swamp was, and they couldn't put a popper any further out.
Did they
be in the swamp?
Did they have other targets farther up?
They did, but they did because they were already out there from PRS. They just leave them out there all year.
Nah, that's not true at all. They moved those for the 3-Gun Nation match.
Oh,
those weren't just like set up there and then we just shot them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know that I could. I mean, the access road was from the other side. I didn't know. I just figured they couldn't get them any closer.
No, they were really close to the access road, but it is accessible, and those were placed for the 3-Gun Nation match.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. So our buddy Tucker Schmidt weighed in here, and he says, personally, I like the idea of matches tailored specifically for PCC like Lucas or JP. Personally, I don't like it in 3-gun, but I know others do. Way to qualify your statement there, buddy. Next, he says, I think in PCC-specific matches, there should be mag limits to force some sort of reloads throughout the stages instead of running 93-round mags. I also like the idea of Horner-style scoring for PCC, so accuracy has some more weight on the match outcome. Yeah, so we kind of ran like Horner-ish, I guess, scoring at the Lucas Oil PCC match.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like 1 in the A zone to neutralize and 2 anywhere. It was like 2 scored hits.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Horner-ish. But I guess he's kind of looking like IDPA type scoring or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
I think there's something in the middle there too. But I think in a PCC only sport, I think it should drive the accuracy a little harder.
Yeah,
I personally don't think it should just be a hoser sport.
right.
A 2 on the pizza box kind of deal. But some people do, but I mean, I think there should be some fast stuff because that's ultimately what we like to do. I mean, we're basically gun racers,
Right.
But I think there should be some, put the tennis ball out there, put the little 2-inch steel plates or something. I think there should be a component of accuracy in a PCC only sport, much the same as there is in USPSA or to some extent 3-gun. I mean, it's a sliding scale, but I definitely think that it shouldn't just be wide open IPSC targets.
Yeah. All right, I'm with you there. I do think down scoring, like giving additional seconds, whether you call that, 3-gun nation style or Horner scoring or IDPA or whatever, I think that makes sense more than the hit factor scoring. But obviously, for me it does. But obviously, USPSA is going to make their own rules, and it's going to revolve around hit factor. But yeah, I totally agree. Like
I like time plus too.
Yeah, I do.
I guess.
All right, so moving on here. Adam Weber, our buddy Adam Weber from Weber Tactical, says, I don't like the idea of PCC and 3-gun. If it must be done, it only makes sense in base style matches where there are no long range. There should be no different targets for PCC shooters is my point. I am a fan of PCC only matches. I think stages should push mag limits, and at least half should have round counts high enough to require mag changes. I see 2 divisions, 33 round mag limits, and non-magnified optics, and open. Kind of mirrored what we were saying there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna hold out my opinion on PCC and 3-gun for a later comment, but I do like what he's saying about requiring some mag changes and things like that, like making people work the skill set of the system a little harder than just throw in the big stick and play.
Yeah.
I definitely can get on board with that. Ironically, it's also probably what would keep me out of PCC personally, because I'm left-handed, so none of the guns work for me unless somebody comes up with some like weird backwards bad lever to trip the magazine release.
Backwardsbad.com.
Yeah. Don't Google that.
Probably not. One thing I would say is that I like creatively forcing magazine changes via the stage. But if it's in the written stage brief, you shoot these targets, then you change mag. I think that's lazy, and I hate that. I
do too.
The other thing I hate is switching shoulders. Like, you must shoot these with your offhand shoulder. It's like, make it hard enough where I need to shoot that with my offhand shoulder.
Yeah,
that's
what they do overseas in IPSC.
Yeah, exactly. But here in the U.S., we're like, oh, we're gonna test all your things, so we're gonna force a mag change by writing in the stage brief. No, that's just dumb. Like, make it so I need to do it by either division rules, of magazine length combined with round count on the stage, or whatever,
Yep. No, I definitely agree on that. Like, I don't like. I like when you can can work the skill in without expressly calling for it.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, by virtue of shooting all these targets, yeah, you're going to have to reload at some point.
Yes.
I do like that. Or if you shoot them all clean, you can avoid a reload.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that too. And there's a lot of times in 3-gun where you'll have, say 30 targets, a 30 round P mag, but if you shoot two in each, now you need to do a reload, or you need to have a D60 or something like that. So I do like that. I mean,
that happens to me in factory division all the time.
Yeah.
Where we're restricted to 30 round magazines only. It's like, yeah, if you shoot the long range clean, you're going to get through without a reload. If you get sloppy, you're taking a quote unquote penalty because you have to stick another mag in there. Yeah. Whereas in TO, I would just rock and roll with a 60 round mag and be good. So
yeah. All right. This next comment is from Stephen Hoy, and I put this one in here because he kind of says what a lot of people are saying. I like the idea of PCC on its own, but do not care for it in actual 3-gun matches. So a lot of people.
Why is that?
A lot of people said that one. He didn't give a why.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't like the idea. Okay, why? Why can't they play 3-gun? That's my question.
Do you think they should be able to play 3-gun?
Yes. Well,
okay, so for all the reasons that we've already listed, plus we'll get to our buddy Bill Corcoran's comments here, and he makes a really good argument for not having it in the same game. But first, Tim Ubel, I have an idea. 7 dots. Leave PCC alone. 8 dots. It's doing just fine the way it is. 6 dots. Probably the best you not touch it. I think that's
way to put together a cogent thought, Tim.
That's a non-comment. Like that doesn't even say a thing.
Nope.
And first of all, leave PCC alone. Okay, leaving it alone means not creating a provisional division in USPSA. It means not inviting it into a 3-gun, right? And what happened to it the first 90 years that it was around? Nothing.
Yeah.
So leave it alone. We did leave it alone for a long time, and nothing happened with it. And so now we're at like the beginning of PCC, right? This is like the days where they took NHRA off of like the dirt roads, in the backwoods, and like, hey, let's put this on a track. Let's create some rules. Let's have a safety guy there, and if people die, let's take them to the hospital. That sort of thing.
What a thought!
I know. So, like, if all those people at the dawn of the National Hot Rod Association had decided, well, why don't we just leave drag racing alone? Like, we'd still be racing on dirt roads by farms.
Hey, you guys are really good at running away from the cops. Maybe we should all like get together sometime and just see who's really good at going fast.
Yeah. So, and
I find it to be a very interesting comment from someone who a very large part of their business is making PCC parts.
Right. You think he would have like a vested interest in?
No, I wouldn't think. He does.
Yeah, he has a vested interest in deciding.
It's pretty much the definition of a vested interest in it.
Yeah, good point, dude.
So it's a very
in deciding
it's a very harumph comment for someone who ironically should be more supportive.
Yeah, he should be excited to see where 3-gun goes, or wanting to craft the future of 3-gun. But yeah, it was definitely a harumph thing.
But hey, man, you do you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so Rob Hall says, I like the idea of PCC and 3-gun, but with UML-style rules where you can pick 3 of 4 to use on a stage. I think that's a really neat idea and opens up another world for stage planning.
Yes, and I think Pete Rensing posted a pretty big comment further down the line, but yes, Pete's idea of 2x4 division has definitely gotten some interest, and I think it's gonna attract a lot of people going forward if it gets embraced more.
I gotta tell you, like all the dudes from Colorado that I've run into that shot a UML match this year, be it like a portion of Surefire or the Safariland multi-gun or what's the other one that they run in Salt Lake? Shoot, I don't know. Forgive me. God, it's like Birchwood, Cedar Valley multi-gun. That's what it is. So a lot of dudes from Colorado went and shot those, and they came back and they're like, this is the best thing ever. This is the greatest format. This is such a cool thing. So I see a lot of popularity behind that, and I've been chatting with Pete Renz and going to have him back on the show here to talk about it because I think it's a really cool concept.
Cool. Yeah, no, I would definitely tune into that show because I'm anxious to hear more about it. It's not super popular here. I mean,
it's because all them trees.
Winter's a long time. We might bring it around. I know Ruben's really excited about PCC here locally, as is Travis at Vortex and some of the other guys. Like, I mean, we might be incorporating it into our local matches here going forward. But that's kind of what we're talking about here on the whole is how do we bring this in, because we have people who have these guns now and they want to shoot them. So, and I think it's a really interesting and unique way to bring the gun in without like affirmative action making a place for it,
Yeah. Well, along those lines, Michael Whitesides of Dissident Arms says Safariland Expedition multi-gun had no real long range. The Expedition format allowed for one written stage brief. All PCC Division. Let me try that again. All PCC Division and 2x4 Division were recognized. 2x4 adds a PCC as a fourth gun to open. 2 guns must be shot on any stage, shooter's choice. Minimum of 3 targets engaged per gun. 3 gun matches containing real long range stages have to have concessions for PCC. In my opinion, this gets messy. I like the Expedition format for when PCC is involved, and standard 3 gun divisions for 4 well 3 gun. Yeah, so there you go.
All right, so here's where I'm going to jump in with it. He said, the part where he said where there's long range stages, accommodations must be made. Mm-hmm. Must means that's the only way there is to do it. I'm not convinced that is the only way to do it.
Oh, buddy, you were so wrong, but I want to hear this.
Here it comes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All of you at home, get up off the couch because here's where it gets exciting.
If you're driving, right? close your eyes and imagine this.
Yep. Just pull over.
Oh yes, pull over first. Then
put the car in park. I think, why should PCC not just be allowed in open division?
I don't think you said anything profound there. You just said what Mike said.
Why do you need a pistol at all?
Yeah.
I mean, they've modified everything else about an open pistol. Why not put a stock on it? Yeah. Because and that's not a 2x4 division or anything like that. That's just saying it's an as an open shooter, you can shoot a PCC.
Well, then you're okay. So I totally got you on this one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna blaze you. Hold still. So, if a written stage brief requires that you start pistol loaded and holstered, what do you do then? Boom! Accommodations.
Why does a pistol have to be loaded and holstered?
Because that's what the stage brief says. Like if you're starting with shotgun first, pistol second, and rifle, right? Mm-hmm. So your PCC, if you're using that in a place of a pistol, where are you going to keep it?
That might be a reason to shoot a pistol. I'm saying is like why require them to shoot a pistol? Why? Because I asked an open shooter that, well, it's not going to be a mystery who it is, but like people who shoot open, people who can't see anymore. Sorry, that's just how it is. People who like to have the most exotic gadgets. All right. But as competitors, the people who really like open and the essence of open, they like that their focus is completely on the targets. They're shooting targets, and they're shooting targets as fast as they can, no matter what piece of equipment they have to do that. And so they've gotten into like these really exotic pistols. And so my question to them is if we just use a PCC instead of a pistol, did the game lose anything? Do you feel cheated now? Like if if everybody didn't have to shoot a pistol, would you feel cheated? And the answer I got was no. No, like requiring the use of a pistol in open division doesn't add or subtract anything from the intent of the division if you just allow PCC there. Now, there's going to be pros and cons to shooting a PCC versus shooting a pistol, which is going to keep shooting a pistol viable and potentially keep shooting a PCC viable.
Well,
that should be an option for
unless
them.
You're talking about like having a sack of guns like golf that you can choose on a particular stage, then your argument doesn't make sense, because there are stages where you start with your pistol loaded and holstered or holstered and unloaded. And if that's a PCC, now we have, like, I don't know if they make Kydex sheets that big kind of thing.
Now you have a viable reason to use the sling.
But that's not holstered.
Why isn't it?
Because holster is right in the fucking word holstered.
It's retained, though. I mean,
that's
people
not what
carry around loaded guns on slings.
It's not what it says. It says holstered.
So holstered has to stay in the stage description because it's always been in the stage description?
It doesn't happen, but if you say retained, now can I keep my pistol on a lanyard?
Why can't you? Because it's dangerous. That's the answer.
Well, so
but you can.
Here's the
safely,
thing.
You can safely sling a PCC.
There is such thing as like devil's advocacy and having a fun conversation, but this is just idiocy. Like this has no basis in logic or fact.
I guess I don't agree. I don't see any reason that a PCC couldn't be slung in lieu of a pistol being holstered. I think they're one and the same.
I absolutely think it could, but there's the accommodations you said would not be needed. And then if you say,
well, accommodation in the form of adding a target or changing the course.
If you say in
but
the written
just changing
stage brief,
the start position, that's
if you say in the written stage brief, pistol may be loaded and holstered, or PCC may be slung, that is an accommodation.
Okay, I would concede that, but you didn't have to add or take away targets.
Oh,
You didn't have to change. You didn't have to change the amount of heavy stuff that you brought out of the shed and put onto the bay.
Right, but that's another complaint.
You have to draft a stage description no matter what.
Okay, so now I'm going to read a comment by Kupika here, Matt Kupika. Stop making 2 written stage briefs for stages. It is annoying and causes mass confusion. Just give PCC all the options in a base rule set and let the PCC guys hash out their own match/division. So, I mean, obviously that works on a local level, but that's exactly what he's saying there. It's like now you have to add in accommodations in the stage brief for your PCC if you don't want to use it as a pistol. So I strongly disagree on that, and I think the way that they're talking about it in Safari Land Expedition makes way more sense than subbing it for a pistol and then allowing it to be slung. I mean, there's nothing like inherently safety wrong with that because we do it with rifles all the time. It just now you're doing those accommodations that we said we didn't want.
Yeah, I mean, in my stage descriptions, I say I do the anywhere with anything thing or starting in the box. But if you want to start with a long guns, or low ready, because that's what we have to do because we got berms and stuff like that, like we were talking earlier. But it's either long guns at low ready or pistol holstered. So if you want to start with a PCC, it's at low ready, and if you need it later in the stage, it's slung. And I think I would let the open shooters, chew through if they wanted to use one or use a pistol on a given stage. But like going back to like practicing what I preach, if it was allowed, that change has potential for me to adopt PCC as something I primarily do. Like that would potentially get me into shooting open if that was allowed. As of right now, I have absolutely no interest in shooting an open pistol like ever. other than for professional reasons, for testing product and things like that. But like there's nothing attractive to me about an open pistol, but to shoot all the other open guns and participate in open division, if I could shoot a PCC instead of a pistol, okay, well now that's a division that seems remotely fun to me. So I thought that was an interesting idea. But clearly there's going to be opinions on it. So
yeah, I just don't. I don't know. It's so.
Call me a moron in the comments if you want. I don't care.
We have a clearly defined, I guess, arsenal of guns: a rifle, a pistol, and a shotgun. And like, I don't like when people try to change 3-gun into a pistol carbine match. It's cool if you want to have 2-gun, but saying that we should get rid of the shotgun and 3-gun to make it more accessible to other people, to me that doesn't make sense. It's an excuse that people are going to use whether we accommodate them or not. So to say that 3-gun is whatever 3 guns you want to bring is ridiculous, because it's already defined as a rifle, pistol, and shotgun. Right.
I see what you're saying. I'm saying that I see it kind of like the guy who wants to show up with an agency Glock and a red dot on it and doesn't want to shoot open. It's like, no, you brought an open pistol.
Yeah.
So you shoot open. It's like, if you want to shoot a PCC, cool. We have this division where anything's allowed. It's called open.
Yeah.
Well, that was my opinion.
And I get it in that, but I don't like it as like a sole replacement for a pistol. Like,
no. I wouldn't say that. But I think it's like, if you want this Wild West division where the idea is to go fast, I think it fits pretty well in open, the way open exists currently. Obviously minor modifications to the written stage brief, but
this brings up a great comment from Brian Nelson, also a former guest of the show and a really good match director in Utah.
We are getting ready for his match. Getting really excited for that.
So his match, which he'll mention here, gives us both context because we both shot it last year. So Brian says, as with many things in 3-gun, there isn't one answer that's right for everyone. Brian makes a good point there because none of us can get along. Then he goes on to say, in your range/match structure, let me start over. If your range/match structure already supports a PCC option, i.e. all targets are inside 100 yards, which is like kind of what I was describing earlier, you would be foolish not to allow it as an option in lieu of a full caliber rifle. If you don't use clay targets for shotgun, there's no reason not to allow someone to do all PCC. And you will see some crossover attendance from USPSA shooters. Basically, this is how UML works, United Multi-Gun League. We switched our local 3-gun match over to UML months ago because at a local level, we have about 6 real 3-gunners and about 40 pistol shooters who hate shotgun with a passion. Not my preferred option, but it is the only way we can have any sort of attendance for a match. If you run a more hardcore 3-gun match with long range and flying birds, it doesn't make sense to have a PCC-only option. Hard as hell rules allow anyone to sub in a PCC for their full caliber rifle if desired, but only trooper class can shoot PCC as a pistol substitute. That is an interesting rule there.
Yes.
Your thoughts, Adam? Go.
I mean, I mostly agree with everything he said. Where was I gonna have something interesting to say? I mean, I around the country there are significant portions of people who won't shoot 3-gun because of the shotgun, but like I can't personally relate with it here because we have a viable 3-gun community. We have people who have only ever shot 3-gun.
Have we polled those people? Is that like concrete evidence, or is that like an old wives' tale that people just keep repeating? Like, is this true?
They are really out there.
Have you spoken to anyone in person?
Yes.
Have you touched them?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So
I know his name. I knew his name. I haven't talked to him in a while, so I forgot his name.
So my opinion is it's the same thing. Like if you told them, okay, we're going to shoot a rifle carbine or a rifle pistol match, they'd be like, oh, well, I don't have the base plates for my Glock. Or if you're like, oh, I don't have a holster. Oh, I don't have mag pouches. It's just another excuse. That's my opinion.
Yes.
Do you see that, or do you think I'm wrong and there actually is? Hey, and if you're listening to this and you never shot a 3-gun match because of the shotgun, please tell me I'm wrong. Like, let me know, because my perception is it's just another excuse. Because I've seen excuses for everything I want to do, from my wife won't let me to the kids have a recital to I don't like shotgun, and it just one excuse after the other.
Right. And that is my perception as well, that more often than not, the guys who say that, it would be the next excuse down the line. So if you throw a 2-gun only match, it's like, oh, I had to work that weekend. Oh, I had this. Oh, well, they just always have an excuse not to come. But I do think there are legitimately people out there who don't want to shoot the shotguns, and I understand their point of view. I don't agree with them because, I've seen so many people come to the sport hating the shotgun because they didn't understand it, and then they tried it for a little while, and then once they did, all of a sudden it's their favorite gun to shoot. So, everybody came over in the old days to shoot rifles, and they had to shoot shotguns, but then once they got into it, obviously shotgun's a big part of what we do out here. But so, like Brian's saying, and the guys from Las Vegas say the same thing. That's probably has a lot to do with Pete coming up with 2x4. There's just, my friends from that area of the country, they say there's just not a lot of 3-gunners. There's a lot of USPSA people, but there's just not a lot of 3-gunners, and they just won't show up if there's no, if they got to have a shotgun. So I can see that being a viable thing that clubs have to deal with. It's just not something we deal with here up in the Midwest, because we have a very active USPSA scene. We have a very active 3-gun scene. You can shoot your fill of both up here. So I don't have a whole lot of personal experience with it, but I do know people who don't shoot 3-gun because they don't want to shoot shotguns. That's absolutely true.
Well, life is scary sometimes.
Not many. Not enough to make a match. That's my flip side to it, is like, okay, yeah, there are really people out there who don't want to shoot shotguns, but enough of them won't show up on any given Saturday to have a viable match.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's just,
or if you have a viable match, it's 3-gunners.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, it's a great excuse. It's a well, I don't want to shoot shotgun, and then you're like, cool, we're gonna do this 2-gun match. Well, I don't have the right rifle. Well, what's it gonna take, buddy? What is it gonna take? That's my opinion on it. It's like, if we made it, okay, so it's a PCC pistol match. Well, I don't want to shoot my pistol. Okay, well, bring your PCC. Well, I don't have an optic for my PCC. It's one excuse after the other. It's never like, I'm gonna get prepared. I'm gonna do it. And
right.
And I know I sound like a big dick right now, but I hear it so often. There's so many excuses in life not to do things, and if you don't just get out there and do them, you'll never enjoy your life.
Yep, you'll just be 70 years old having only played Xbox. Yeah,
exactly, and never have shot a practical shooting match with your rifle and your pistol.
But that's kind of why I wanted to ask this question, though, because there's so many people who think so many things about it, but it's like it's that thing that someone else should do, or it's that thing that you should do once in a while, but as on the club side of things, if you're going to put on an event, you need enough people to turn out on this thing to do it. In other experimental stuff that I've tried, 3-man 3-gun as a club match. That seems like a fun idea, right?
Oh, I don't have 2 friends.
Exactly. We get 4 teams. It's or 8 teams or whatever it is. 2 of them, blow everybody else out of the water, And so to put on these matches that are a cool idea, it's it's got to be a cool idea, and people have to show up, because it's a lot of work to put on a match. It's a lot of not fun stuff to put one of these on. So whatever it has to be viable enough that it has draw for enough people to make a viable match that someone's going to put on. So So that's kind of why I personally wanted to get into some of this stuff, because it's like, well, let's cut the crap into the excuses why I don't shoot PCC. It's like, well, what do we have to make PCC for you to shoot it?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm interested in. So.
Yep. All right, our next comment here is from Matt Loganbill, who knows a thing or two about building matches. And Matt says, I always wonder why I can't shoot my pistol in a PCC match. All the match director has to do is put a few targets under 50 yards so I don't have to shoot long range.
I mean, it's an interesting point.
Yeah, obviously. I'm guessing he's being facetious on that one, but
he's totally being facetious, but he's not wrong.
No, he's not. But that's what PCC shooters are asking for, right?
I mean, what if a dude rolled up to Lucas and like, man, this would be a really fun match if I could shoot my pistol.
By the way, it would be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, flip side of the coin, it's like, why shouldn't a pistol? Now, you could say, well, it's like, well, that's not what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. But, it's the same thing in reverse when people say, get with the program or don't show up. It's like, well, no, this guy wants to shoot, and why can't he?
Well, so brings up an interesting point. Should there be in the Lucas Oil PCC championship match and the upcoming JP Enterprises match, which I forgot where and what it's called, should they have a pistol division?
It's their match, so they can do whatever they want.
No, come on, you're on the show. This is your opinion here, buddy.
I don't know. I think it's complicated, right? Because there's tons of places you can shoot a pistol.
Right. Well, so what if you get 130 PCC shooters, and because you have a pistol division, you get 10 more. That's 10 more people that have a fun weekend that they wouldn't have had. But what if you get 70 more?
Right.
Now you've got instead of having 130 people at a match, you get 200 people at a match, and now it's a big match.
Yeah, I guess I'm non-committal on that one, because the whole reason that this is a conversation is because right now there's a demand that's not being adequately met. Right. There are people who want to shoot these guns, and there's no oasis for them. Whereas that's not the case. The inverse is not true of pistol shooters. There's all kinds of places the world over you can go and shoot an IPSC pistol match.
Right. But if you do a PCC match, probably a handful of guys that would want to come up and shoot with pistol only, right?
Yeah, or enter twice,
Yeah, actually, now that's a great idea. Like if you could shoot, pistol in the morning and PCC in the afternoon or vice versa, that'd be fun.
You know me, Dave. I'm all about that.
Yeah, buddy. You like to party.
So you know what? So thank you. You just made up my mind. Yes, there should be a pistol division at PCC only matches because we like to party.
All right. So Matt Loganbill is in the run for MVP of this discussion here. I'm going to skip down a little bit to...
Cheers to you, Matt.
Absolutely. I'm going to skip down a little bit to Bill Corcoran. And he says, PCC is a great way to attract new shooters. If match directors sacrifice the quality of their matches and drop long-range work because of PCC, then it is a great way to lose veteran shooters. Anybody who has shot matches that include PCC have seen it happen as MDs, match directors, try to balance the game. PCC eventually needs to be a one-gun, one-division game. It is a ton of fun, and it is a fast drag race, but there is no reason to water down an established format to accommodate a new division. PCC Nation, anyone?
Oh, see that? Oh, you bring in the weird connotations there, three-gun nation. But I think, I'm on board with it. The same thing. I think three-gun has gotten a little far away from some of the long-range stuff. Like I think 300 and 400 yard shots should be a staple part of a three-gun match. But at the same time, that's a sliding scale too. Like I think there are matches that get way too carried away with it, and it basically turns into PRS with shotguns and pistols.
Right.
So, there's a sliding scale there. But that seems pretty reasonable to me. PCC is a good way to get people in, and what some people bring up is like shooting a Texas Star, if you're not a super confident pistol shooter, shooting a Texas Star is really intimidating.
Yeah.
But
I remember
because a
being frightened to
PCC
death
is a
of
little
those.
bit more intuitive to shoot, you can actually interact with the prop and have an enjoyable experience and learn how it works, whilst also not trying to figure out how to shoot a pistol,
Right.
So,
Yeah, and I totally agree for like new shooters. It is definitely like the first taste, of competition, and it's definitely a good thing. But I just know that there's all those people out there that are already shooting it that you don't want to water down their match. So that's why I see, Mark Pasmanek has commented on this thread a bunch of times here, but he never mentioned one thing that he's mentioned to me many times before is that 3-gun is like F1, right? F1 racing. And there's the shifter kart series out there because not everyone can start in F1 racing. So that is like the what used to be Ruger Rimfire Challenge, NSSF Rimfire Challenge. I'm not sure what they're going to call it in the next couple iterations here, but that's like American Marksman, and that's where I see PCC as well. Like PCC is something that you can easily be a hero at with little to no practice, and it's a good confidence builder. So I like that. In my mind, there's not a huge martial aspect to it, right? Like the AR-15 it's America's rifle. It's what all of our military carries, right? Pistols, it's what every low-level security guard, police officer, concealed carrier carries, right? Those are established as step one. These are defensive or offensive tools. PCC, for me, in my mind, it's categorized as like a fun gun because, like, for a long time, pistol caliber hasn't really been a huge thing in law enforcement, in military. There's some small uses, like I've seen the Rock, and that's my that's my baseline for the MP5. But
it's interesting you say that because, again, going back to what I alluded to earlier, like they're submachine guns. That's where all the technology came from, and up through the from the 40s all the way through to the mid 90s, submachine guns were kind of a mainstay of military and law enforcement use, especially with the MP5. I mean, the MP5 is largely getting phased out now in lieu of bottleneck carbines. But
when you say bottleneck carbine, you mean like an M4, right?
Yeah. But
like one specific bottleneck carbine.
Yeah. 5.56, 300 blackout, 7.62, 39. But to kind of jump ahead, the next comment down is where I kind of threw out there, like, should we have a separate division for the traditional style guns? Should there be a delayed blowback, rolling block division? Because there's no way an MP5 is ever going to be competitive with a raced out, whatever PCC gun that we have now. So if there's the guy who has the MP5 clone gun, is there a place for him in this sport? Is there a place for the guys who want to shoot the MAC-10s and the Uzis? Do we lump it all together in the kind of like the Wild Bunch in Cowboy? Like it's this, it's its own thing, but they kind of lump a bunch of them together.
Yeah.
And is there an interest from the audience in shooting those kinds of guns, or is it just one or two guys that that's their excuse that they don't want to shoot PCC because theirs isn't competitive there? But there's lots of those guns out there. I sold a ton of those guns to people, and there's currently no place to shoot them other than in a PCC match. So
yeah, well, I don't think that's necessarily a detriment. Like number 3 this weekend at 3 Nation Nationals in the PCC division was Derek Giddings, who's shooting an HK something or other that's not necessarily an MP5 but civilian version. I have no idea what it's called.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I stand corrected then. I apologize.
No, that's right.
But it's I was just kind of curious if and then I think it kind of played out here pretty quickly in the thread. But like, it was either going to be like, yeah, we should totally do that, or it's going to be like ho hum.
Well, it reminds me,
and it kind of turned out to be ho hum, but
because not many people know what that stuff is, basically, and
correct,
or own one. You know, there's very few people that know
at least
what
not
it is.
millennials.
Yeah, exactly. Very few people that know what it is, and even less own one. So it reminds me of like the Red October Kalashnikov Festival. They had open Kalash, which is any Kalash with a optic on it. They had heavy Kalash, which is 7.62 or bigger. They had light Kalash, which is 5.45 ish, 223, right? And then they had comm block, which is any other thing that you think you want to bring out here, but we don't have a division for, right? And it's any other gun made by communist nations, right? So maybe that's a division.
So like when we were talking earlier about divisions, in my mind, I kind of picture a open, a limited, and then this, catch-all, nostalgic, cool guns division. In my mind, in the PCC game, those would be the 3 divisions.
Okay. All right. So since we brought up Pete Rensing, the 2x4, multiple times, I want to read 2 comments from Pete here for discussion. One, when asked what 2x4 was, he said, it was a fun game when we first started. The plan was to create more options. We did a stage and said you can use your PCC here for rifle or pistol. Someone said, can I use it for shotgun? I said, why not? So we did a match and told shooters to bring PCC. There were 5 stages, 2 guns each. Shooters with PCC had 4 guns, and I let them pick 2 per stage to solve the problem, and that's how we started 2x4. In a separate comment on the same topic, he says, guys, there are more than 10 matches a year these days. There are hundreds, it seems, and so there are plenty of options for everyone. Go where you want and can have a great time, which I would also echo that. I, too, don't agree with making a separate stage brief for giving PCC guys closer targets, or giving PCC guys closer targets, but there are plenty of ranges that can't shoot over the berms or don't have big enough bays for long shots, and PCC works great there, which is absolutely true. Saving money on ammo with sounds like a good thing, and shooting is a good thing. There is no way to please everyone, but for options to get more people shooting and playing the game is great for guns. Not everyone will like the 2x4, but with proper stage design, it lets you choose the best weapon system for you in the current situation, solve the problem. There is still long range, and you are not competing with TAC or limited or open, so there should be no reason not to play. Which, dude, thumbs up. I like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a time capsule statement. We can look back on it in 5 years and see what happened. But I bet in 5 years, 2x4 is a mainstay and popular division in the sport. I think they really touched on some magic there, and I think it's going to catch on, and I think it's really cool. I haven't done it yet. It's going to be really hard to get all of those under 50 pounds on the plane, but I think it's a really cool idea, and for me, it's a way that it's probably the most likely way that I'm going to get into shooting PCC. Is to shoot 2x4, especially like I think Expedition Multigun is definitely on one of my matches to check out next year that I haven't been to before, because you can sign up more than one time for more than one division,
which is awesome.
So I think I'm definitely going to give it a try next year. I'm not sure if I'm going to do 2x4 at that match, but because I will be flying to it, but I think it's a really cool idea, and hats off to Pete there for coming up with that one.
Cool. Well, we'll have to talk. We might be able to work something out if I end up driving to that match. We can figure it out. Yeah, man. There's ways around everything.
I'm just gonna mail you parts.
Yeah, you just put the lower receivers in your cases.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fly with the lowers. I'm gonna ship the uppers. I'm sure we can figure it out.
Oh yeah, it sounds like a plan to me. All right.
Shotguns after dark are dumb though, so I'm not gonna shoot the 3-gun division after dark.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just lame.
Oh, okay.
Carbines and pistols are fun to shoot with flashlights.
Shotguns not so much.
I don't feel the same about a shotgun.
Yeah.
So much smoke.
All right. Well, I want to read a couple more comments. This first one here from Eric Dewberry. Eric runs or helps run a match at the Cawthorn Cartridge Club in Texas, and it's like a falling steel match, which is based on PCC, but they allow shotgun and pistol there as well, which is kind of cool. And I've shot it before with varying results. And so Eric says, number one, if you're not shooting PCC, stop worrying about it because it doesn't affect you. Number two, make 0 changes to that match. Design the match the way you always have. If people don't like shooting that stuff, they will shoot a traditional 3-gun or somewhere else. Number three, if it's not a clay, it can be shot with PCC. PCC is a drag race. Please stop trying to force PCC to shoot a stage a certain way just so there is a lower percentage of PCC targets. Number four, drag race, and that's all caps. Speed is the name of the game. And then he says PCC is PCC as a standalone. I'm sorry, those first comments for PCC and 3-gun. He says I co-match direct for a monthly falling steel match. The match is really designed around PCC, but exactly what I said. But we let shotgun, pistol, and rimfire come play as well to increase range profit and expose those people to PCC who otherwise wouldn't see them. It's some of the most fun you can have in a monthly match, and it's hands down the best way to introduce new shooters to competition shooting. I agree on that. But before we attack that one, let's... the very next comment was from Matt Kupica, and it's a kind of a competing one. He says, to everyone saying that don't worry about PCC because it doesn't affect you, it does. You were talking about scores. Many people complain about PCC because stages either get mangled to support PCC, the written stage brief becomes an absolute mess, or a shitload of targets get thrown on the bay that you aren't supposed to shoot. These things affect everyone. What Eric said above is in line with my thoughts. Design the stages as normal and let PCC do its thing. So
Matt Kupica, also match director.
Yeah, good point.
In his own right.
That's a good point. So I've got to disagree with Eric completely on the if you're not shooting PCC, stop worrying because it doesn't affect you. It absolutely does.
Okay.
Because for all the reasons that Coop said, right?
Mm-hmm. I think, well, and it kind of goes back to as well, like, again, something we touched on in the rules podcast. What episode was that? That was like 158?
Something like that. I can look it up while you talk.
But anyway, it was kind of something we talked about in there too. Like, there's the matches that are the options matches where
154.
you take down. Well, is it 158?
154.
154. Dang it. But you know, there's the matches where it's a problem-solving match, and targets are eligible with multiple guns. And to incorporate PCC in those matches doesn't take a whole lot. And I think it's pretty reasonable to accommodate them at those matches. I think where kind of what Matt's getting at, like at the matches where they're starting to script, like you will shoot these with your pistol, you will shoot these with your rifle, you will do this and you will do that. That is where it gets messy, and the stage briefs get super messy.
Yeah, and I have to agree with Eric on that one.
Yeah.
Is, number 3, he said if it's not a clay, it can be shot with PCC. Dude, if I'm shooting PCC, I totally agree. And
that's the game. Yeah, that's the game. Let them, you do you, bro. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, and at the
so let them do it.
Southwest Regional, there was a couple stages, and this is back in February, so my memory could be failing me, but that they dictated things that, as a PCC shooter, I was not exactly happy with because it took away my options.
Right. And that I don't agree with. Like, I mean, the name of the game in PCC is to just let them hose targets. So I say let them be. But, and I think that's what people are saying when they say drag race. I mean, they just want to shoot fast. So let them shoot fast.
Yeah.
Don't do all the messing with you stuff. Maybe this is an interesting way. This actually just happened locally here. Maybe this is a good place to put that in. So on the USPSA side of things, they will do things like start facing up range, right?
Yes.
Holstered facing up range.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's indoor season here. So, they try to do some of that stuff at our indoor match here on Tuesday nights. But, in to shoot a PCC in that case, I mean, really the only thing they can do is, stormtrooper facing downrange. So one of the things that our local match director tried last week, and I thought it was a good idea, or, it was at least, a comparable challenge. He did a seated start with a chair. So like he put a chair like a yard or two back from the shooting box.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're shooting a pistol, it was facing up range. If you were shooting a PCC, you had to start stormtrooper sitting in the chair. And I know that's an accommodation, but in this match where they were trying to do some of those things, like they're trying to add the challenge of like a turn and draw, I thought he did come up with an interesting way to introduce a comparable challenge. It wasn't the same, but everybody who shot PCC had to do it, and they didn't just start facing downrange and do an up drill. They actually had to do a little something else. So
what's the heartburn about having a PCC on a table?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Isn't that weird? Like pistol shooters and so I will qualify this with I haven't been to a USPSA match and shot PCC, but from all the horror stories I hear, it's like USPSA shooters, pistol shooters are deathly afraid of anything longer than a 6-inch barrel.
I really don't understand it at all.
I don't either.
Like, why do I have to show clear and hammer down and put the flag in and put it in a bag? You just did the flip and catch and had it in your holster before you said show clear. So,
yeah.
But
it's weird, isn't it?
It's just they're complex, and I don't think we'll.
But I think
I don't think we'll ever get to the end of it. But
I think that illustrates why a PCC needs its own game, is because it's a redhead stepchild of USPSA. It's obviously causing a lot of consternation here in Three Gun, and I'm not saying like you can have your own water fountain. That's not what I'm saying. It's like I think that for it to flourish as its own game and to reach its full potential, it needs to be its own game.
I agree. I don't think it should get phased out of USPSA as long as there's people in USPSA who want to do it. I don't think it should get phased out of 3-gun as long as there's people who want a 3-gun doing it. But I think to really be what it should be ultimately, I think it is its own game. Because it's its own thing. But at the same time, we have like a really flooded sport now. Like we're at least, in some areas we're really quickly reaching the saturation point of how many different games and how many different matches we can have and still have enough people to show up to do a match.
Right.
So.
Well, with 3-gun for sure, the saturation point is there. Like there's a lot of matches that don't sell out. Even really good matches,
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So just the last couple comments here, Adam, and then I think we're going to be done. I want to weigh in from some of the people whose matches I want to have some people from the matches I've shot weigh in here. Corey K is one of those. He's the co-match director with Eric Dewberry, and he says PCC is fun in 3-gun, USPSA, and standalone PCC matches. If you want to shoot a specific match, go make one. Help your local match set up. Offer to design stages or do match admin. My experience as match director is it takes zero effort to add PCC to a 3-gun or USPSA match. It takes way more effort to design stages to discourage it, exclude it, or complain about PCC isn't 3-gun online. So that is the that's the dissenting opinion of my opinion there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jeremy Moore, another match director. A lot of Texans weighing in here. Jeremy Moore says, "I'm good with PCC in 3-gun. We're here to have fun and to some PCC is fun. I don't add special targets or written stage brief for PCC shooters. They shoot the same course of fire as everyone else, just with the option to replace one gun per stage with their PCC. That's a pretty good idea." As for a PCC-only match, one division, no equipment rules, with targets from point blank to 100-ish yards to test both speed and accuracy. So it hit me as I was reading that, and I mentioned that there's a lot of Texans. Like, Texans seem to be super strong-willed about this because everywhere in Texas that there is a match, there's several hundred yards to shoot. And so if you do make it a PCC match, now you have to make massive accommodations for it. Like here in Colorado, like I was saying at the top of the show, there's not a lot of accommodations you'd have to make.
Right. Well, and I like what he said too. He maybe even said what I was saying about open division in a different way. I mean, he's like, you have the option to replace one gun with a PCC. I see a lot of animosity that comes out. It's like, well, if you're going to shoot a PCC, it has to be your rifle. Or if you're going to shoot a PCC, it has to be your pistol. Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it just be both?
I think it should be both. I think.
And so I like what he said there about that. But I mean, I can see where definitely Texans feel pretty strongly about just life in general. But
especially Texas.
Yes.
Well,
but I love Texas, but
same here, man.
But
so what are your thoughts on the topic, man? So we've we didn't get to everyone's comment here, but let's wrap it up by talking about our own PCC experience. You can go ahead and go first.
Well, I just got into it. I was kind of one of those ho-hum people at first, wasn't really interested. I ended up winning a complete lower PCC from KE Arms, so I'll give them a plug because they sponsored the match.
Was that hard as hell?
Yeah. What's that?
Was that hard as hell?
No, it was at the High Desert Championship.
Oh, okay.
This summer in Boise, or Parma, excuse me. But it was on the table there, and I ended up with it. So, combination of that and an Amtac suppressor that I really wanted to buy, I was like, now I'm all in. But it's also making a hypocrite out of me because I hate building AR. Like I just hate mutt ARs. But mine's totally a mutt. It's got parts from 3 manufacturers on it.
Dude, I hate mutt ARs when they suck, but I love building ARs.
Yeah, this one turned out pretty good. Also, one of the weird things nobody talks about PCCs is like they cycle super slow.
Yeah.
So if you really try to hammer on these things, you can fire them out of battery.
Do you have any experience with that?
Yes. So I've shot.
Tell me about that, Adam.
I've shot my PCC all of 3 times, and one of them I blew the mag out the bottom in front of a bunch of USPSA shooters, and they're all like, "Oh, see, this is why we can't have nice things." So here's the deal. I mean, mine's an SBR with a silencer, and I roll up to USPSA, and I know I know you're not allowed to shoot silencers in USPSA, but it's Tuesday night indoor. I don't care. Like, give me a 0. Let me shoot. So I just go the ask forgiveness instead of permission route. I just roll up to the line and make ready. What's that thing on there? And I just make ready, and I pretend I didn't hear them because I have 2 sets of earmuffs on. And I shoot, and they're like, he comes up to me after they score the targets. He's like, we're not exactly sure that's legal. I was like, it's not even close to legal. And they're like, oh. Well, I was like, you don't have to give me a score. If you don't pick up the shot, don't pick up the shot. It's fine. Oh, okay. So I have that conversation pretty much on a weekly basis. And but so they're already kind of like, that PCC over there. And so one weekend I did. They put this array up that is basically you could really hammer on this thing, shoot it at cyclic rate. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to hold onto the gun really tight, shoot it as fast as I could, and I got about 5 shots into it. It was like whap, 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 boom, and the mag came out the bottom, and I was like, oh, well, that's not good. And found the casing, and checked the gun, and so there's no squib in the gun or anything like that. It's like, what happened? And we found the casing, and we put a micrometer on it, and basically we did determine that I fired it out of battery. So, if you pull the trigger just a little bit too soon, there's not enough chamber to contain the pressure, and you're going to blow the mag out the bottom of your gun, break the magazine release in the process. So that was my story. So you can shoot PCCs too fast. And I was talking to some other people who shoot them. They're like, "Oh yeah, you definitely can." So I thought that was interesting. That they cycle so slow. It's kind of like a Benelli. I mean, like Benellis cycle pretty fast, but some athletes at the higher levels, they can pull the trigger faster than the gun can cycle.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that we're quickly approaching that with PCCs unless we can get the cyclic rate up there. But yeah, so I've already blown the magazine out of mine once, and I've only shot it a couple times.
Nice. Well done, Adam.
But I mean, I'm really interested in it for this 2x4 thing. I could get on board with that. I kind of want to shoot those Vepr shotguns. Those are pretty cool. So like if we made it part of open, I could see doing it part of open.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I brought that in, because I'm not interested in open pistols. But if we shoot PCC, that would be kind of cool. I don't know if I'm gonna, if a PCC only match is the only thing going on a given Saturday, I would do it. I don't know. I'm probably going to have to eat crow here in about 6 months, but I don't know if I would go to a PCC only match in lieu of going to a different 3-gun match.
Mm-hmm.
But, I would rather go to a 3-gun match than a PCC only match, but I'm sure Ruben's going to talk me out of that. And at USPSA matches, when you're shooting a USPSA match, generally speaking, they let you shoot twice. So if it's a match that lets you enter more than one time,
like a club match.
At a club match, it's a way to work long guns and handguns on the same day. I already came out, already committed to being at the match for the whole duration of it. I'm going to shoot twice. So I see it being a really good practice and fun tool that way. I don't see myself getting super serious about it, but we'll see. We'll see. But that's just me. What are you thinking?
Well, so I've shot 3 matches with PCC. The first one was that Three-Gun Nation Southwest Regional at like College Station, Texas. Same range. I shot a club match that Eric Dewberry and Corey K put on. I used a borrowed JP that Corey has. I had a not so great experience with that. I guess I should say I didn't have a very good experience at the Three-Gun Nation match either. And then I shot. It's kind of funny. Like I just had like some spare time, and then I was in Missouri to shoot Generation 3 guns. So I was like, oh, I'll just go see if I can shoot that Lucas Oil match too. So I shot the Lucas Oil PCC Championship, and I really liked it. I did borrow JP GMR 15 from Todd Overland, and that's when I decided that like the Vortex Razor Red Dot was like the perfect optic for PCC.
It is the business.
It really is. Like I just had a really good experience with that gun, and that optic. No malfers or anything. Has the last round holdback, which I really liked, and had a decent match. Had a great time. So. And that was a PCC only match, so I really enjoyed that one. So those are my 3 experiences there. I should probably say that the bad experience I had shooting the PCC match, the Falling Steel match in Texas, was Corey has his optic zeroed at 7 yards, and he's got like a 124 grain load that he hand loads for that thing, so it's like zeroed for that load at 7 yards. And he's like, "Oh yeah, just bring ammo and come on." And so I show up, and we're sharing a gun, which is cool. But I've got like Winchester white box 115 grain, which are hot as hell. And so basically I'm shooting like 1.5 feet over every target. It was terrible. And so that was like super unenjoyable. So I had to hold like the base of like the stands for everything and hit stuff. So that kind of sucked. But
You've kind of had a rough first exposure.
I have, and so that I mean, it's not like borrowing an AR where you can just go, what is the 0? 50 yards. Cool. I know what to do here.
Yep.
You know, it's not the same as that, or borrowing a pistol. So, yeah, I did have like a rough go at it, but you know, after 2 experiences, like I'll be honest, I didn't want to shoot the Lucas Oil PCC match. I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. And they're like, well, you can't be here unless you're shooting it. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll shoot it. So, and I think they were joking, but you know, I borrowed Todd Overland's gun and had a really good experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I've been wrong before, willing to admit it.
I'm also a little afraid because it's kind of the same reason I like stay away from PRS, because if you get too close, you're going to go full dum-dum and be in over your head before you know it.
Yeah.
So
our buddy Gunner on was, you know, trying to sell me on a PCC after I had shot the match. He's like, well, what'd you think? And I was telling him, you know, honestly what I thought. And he's like, well, you know, they started. And I'm like, nope. Thanks, buddy, but I'm good. So I quickly...
Casey, let her by.
Yeah. Quickly ran away. Threw him a 3-gun show sticker over my shoulder. But, yeah, so that's something I like. I do like that, you know, especially with the JP guns and that Thurin defense that Ruben and Rob Tater shooting, like they can obviously put holes in, you know, whatever you pointed at, but they're good. They're great gamer guns. You know, they have comps on them. They were built with gaming in mind. I like that. Really like that.
Yep.
Funsy factor on. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, here's maybe an interesting question. Like, you don't have to get like super deep into the part by part, but like in your mind, what's the configuration of PCC that you like? If you were going to buy one, or you were going to, you know, if you were going to use one, what would kind of some of the broad strokes of it be?
Well, I want to shoot the SIG. I want to shoot the Scorpion. The Kel-Tec is like interesting looking, right? And I like it for what it is, because it like folds up and everything. I don't see it for me being like a good gamer gun, but I could see like having that as a truck gun or whatever. And then of course, like there's the JP and the Thurin defense. For me, I like the AR platform. I have a lot of experience shooting the AR platform, so that's kind of what I would pick if I had to pick something. But that said, I haven't shot those other factory guns, right?
Right. Well, the
SIG,
MPX is one you do have to try. I can kind of take or leave the other ones, but if you haven't shot the MPX, I'm not a big SIG guy, but that product is legit, and you should try one if you get the chance.
I will say that I saw many SIG MPXs go down at the PCC match, which I was super, super surprised at, because I expected them to just like run like tanks, you know?
Yeah, you said it, so I don't have to.
Well, they did, and no paycheck from SIG yet. So
yeah, but like on a 3-gun rifle, for me, like I gotta have like one of the TAC mod or XLR PRS style stocks and things like that. So like, you know, different. I kind of feel differently about PCC. Like my PCC is not. I would not be looking to set it up like a 3-gun rifle. Like, I think I would keep that a little bit more in the nature of a carbine.
Yeah.
Or a subgun. So like where I'm always like got the rifle length stocks on my 3-gun rifles, I'm looking at like a PCC for me. I'm going to put a stamp on it. It's going to be an SBR, kind of at that like 9-inch, you know, mark, you know, for the handguard, and whichever barrel goes with that. But like, I'm going to try and keep it short. I'm going to keep it light. Going to keep it trim. And
yeah, you are
definitely like, you know, like you said, the Halo or the reflex style sights. I mean, like I really like our UH-1 Huey on a factory rifle or on a limited rifle. I like the micro red dots better. Be it one of the ones that we make at Vortex, or you know, a couple of our competitors have good ones too. But I think that's really, I mean, the micro dot optics on a fairly short, compact trim rifle. I think that's the way to go with PCC. There's a few varying styles floating around out there. Like some people, they got these really. I mean, look at Josh's. It's basically his 3-gun rifle, and his 3-gun rifle's pretty heavy.
And I can see a ton of benefit for that, for keeping the same platform, the same controls and everything between the two.
Makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, it does. But that said, the one that I shot that belonged to Todd Overland, it had like a CTR2 stock, like a Magpul, just collapsing stock. I never adjusted it because I didn't want to mess with his gun. Pretty sure it had like a JP grip on it, and then it had like a JP safety and JP trigger. That the JP trigger is nice, but it was a little heavy. Like it was definitely like a lawyer set the weight on the trigger. Like it was smooth and it broke well, but it was a little heavier than what I care to shoot. So that would be something I would change. His was a 14.5 inch, and I'm not a big stamp guy, so I'd say stick 14.5 as small as you can go. And other than that, the only thing I would do is
in 3-Gun Nation, like sometimes like I've seen some guys shooting 1-6s on theirs. I don't know. I mean, I tried it. I wasn't really about it.
If you're only shooting, so for me, like I started shooting limited. And if you're only shooting out to 100 yards, I don't see a reason for it. I ran the entire AK match with Becky. Had like I think there was a 1-6 on there, and it was a borrowed gun. And Becky and I were sharing the same gun. I had a 1-6 on there. I ran at 1x the entire time, mostly because I forgot to dial up, but also like I never noticed a big difference because I still have decent eyes and it doesn't necessarily bother me that much. So for me, red dot's the way to go.
Yeah.
Until maybe after Josh Tarrant said they start putting 4-inch targets at 100 yards, maybe that changes the game. Maybe now I have to have a 1-6 on there.
Do people want that?
Ooh, offset 1-6, red dot straight up top. Boom.
Ooh.
Write that down.
Ooh. Gonna drop that at the product development meeting.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing that I wanted to say about benefits of the PCC is cost, because 9mm is cheaper than 223. Basically, that's about it.
Right.
The people that say that, oh, you should get a PCC because it's so cheap to shoot, drive me nuts, because the amount of 9mm that I have to shoot out of that thing to make up for the $1,800 entry is insane. So,
guys, we're not your wife.
It's like, false economy.
You have to convince.
Yeah, exactly. Just tell me it's fun. Just tell me it's fun.
Yeah. Don't lie to me, man.
Yeah, so that's what I got for positives in the PCC, and that's my experience there. So I will say that I'll shoot another PCC match, and I like shooting all PCC match. I don't like shooting PCC and 3-gun because I do feel like I'm missing out on something. But again, qualifying that statement, now that I'm staying in Colorado for a while and shooting the local matches here, it would make a lot of sense to shoot PCC.
Yeah. For me, PCC is something I do when I can't shoot the 3 guns.
Yep.
But you know what? It's kind of cool when you can't. So.
All right. Well, if there is anything that you think we missed, let us know in the comments wherever you see this, whether be it on Instagram, Facebook, etc. You can even leave a comment in the blog on 3gunshow.com. We want to hear from you. We want to hear, what did we miss? What did we get right? What did we get wrong? And if you disagree, let's start a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll get mic'd up again and we can dive on into it.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, dude, I appreciate you bringing up this fun topic and sticking with me here for these last couple hours and hashing it out.
For sure.
And for you listening, before you take off, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com. for links to things that we discussed in the podcast. You can also sign up on Patreon as a 3 Gun Show supporter and purchase your very own 3 Gun Show logo tees. Hey, Adam.
What's that?
3 Gun Show Born to 3 Gun shirts are coming back. Black Friday, baby.
You got my order, right?
I did.
Okay.
So those are being printed right now. Black Friday. Here's a fun thing. So Mike Boone, he was on this podcast before. He started a little apparel company called Shredder Industries, right? And he's a competitive guy. He says that he can sell more T-shirts than me on Black Friday.
Ooh.
I know, right?
Gauntlet thrown.
Yeah. So he's coming out with a brand new design on Black Friday. I've got the Born to 3 Gun shirt in a new color coming out on Black Friday, and we are sweetening the pot a little bit. $5 from every T-shirt sold on Black Friday is going to be donated to Generation 3 Gun.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool.
What color won, or is that still a surprise?
It's a surprise. I'll tell you in 4 minutes.
Okay. And I just want to remind everybody, we skipped over a comment.
Oh, we did?
Mark Pasamanik wanted to see myself and Have Dartman dancing, to which I reply, there are various levels of Patreon supporter that you can subscribe to, and one of those might result in a video of us dancing.
Yeah, buddy. I'm thinking like Snoopy style. You know when he gets like really excited and he dances around his doghouse?
I mean, that's about the only dancing that I can do.
We can do that. All right, so
I would do that for a Patreon subscriber, though.
There you go. If you're interested in that, patreon.com/3gun show. And
you're gonna have to scroll quite a ways down though before you get to the level that results in that.
And keep your eyes peeled for Black Friday. Born to 3 Gun T-shirts are coming back. As always, this podcast is brought to you by Armalite, and Armalite has allowed me to get special pricing for listeners on their line of 3-gun rifles, both the 13.5 and the 18-inch, as well as their competition handguards, gas blocks, and tunable muzzle brakes. If you're in the market for a rifle or components to build your own, email me, dave@3gunshow.com, and I'll hook you up. Anytime you see me on the range, you can also check out my rifle and shoot it as well. Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content so you can always get the very latest. And leave a review. Love to see a 5-star review and positive comment. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman for Adam Maxwell, and we'll see you on the range.
Bye.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.